Welcome to the Stoic Forge channel. In today's video, we're diving deep into one of the most powerful concepts that can transform your entire approach to achieving your goals. We're not talking about feel-good motivation or quick fixes. We're talking about discipline, the Stoic way to crush your goals and build an unshakable foundation for success. If you're new here or missed our previous episodes, you can check out all the content in the playlist that'll pop up at the end of this video. These lessons aren't just educational content, they're a practical blueprint for building mental toughness and achieving lasting results. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. If you're ready to transform how you approach your goals, show some love by liking this video and dropping a forge on in the comments below. In this video, we're not just talking about some abstract philosophy, we're diving into how Stoic discipline can be your secret weapon for achieving anything you set your mind to. We'll explore why motivation fails you when you need it most, how to build discipline that works even on your worst days, and the ancient wisdom that can help you push through any obstacle. We'll tackle questions like, why do most people quit on their goals? How can we maintain consistency when everything feels difficult? And what can we learn from the masters of mental toughness who came before us? As Seneca put it, every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. So if you're ready to forge a new path, build unbreakable discipline, and unlock the power of Stoic determination, smash that like button, subscribe, and let's begin this transformation together. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius said, you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. The motivation myth. Why feelings will always fail you. Let's face it, most of us have been sold a lie about motivation. We've been told that we need to feel motivated to take action, that we need to wait for inspiration to strike, that we need to be in the right mood to work towards our goals. But here's the brutal truth. Motivation is fleeting, unreliable, and will abandon you exactly when you need it most. We wake up feeling pumped about our goals, we make grand plans, we start strong, but then life hits us with stress, setbacks, and ordinary Tuesday mornings when we just don't feel like it. We wait for motivation to return, we make excuses, we promise ourselves we'll start again tomorrow, but tomorrow becomes next week becomes next month, and before we know it, another year has passed without meaningful progress. But what if we could break free from this cycle of dependence on feelings? What if we could build something stronger, more reliable, more powerful than motivation? The philosophers understood something that modern self-help often misses. They knew that discipline, not motivation, is the foundation of achievement. Epictetus, who went from slave to one of the most respected philosophers of his time, understood that true freedom comes not from external circumstances, but from our ability to control our responses. He believed that discipline was the bridge between goals and accomplishment, the daily practice that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary achievers. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, wrote in his personal journal that the best revenge is not to be like your enemy, but he also understood that the best path to success is not to rely on fleeting emotions, but on consistent action. So how can we build this unshakable discipline that the Stoics mastered centuries ago? First, understand that discipline is not about willpower, it's about systems. Willpower is a finite resource that gets depleted throughout the day, but systems are automatic processes that work regardless of how you feel. Create non-negotiable daily actions that move you toward your goals. Make these actions so small and specific that you can't fail. If your goal is to get in shape, don't rely on motivation to hit the gym for 2 hours. Create a system where you put on your workout clothes every morning at the same time. If your goal is to write a book, don't wait for inspiration. Create a system where you write for 15 minutes before checking your phone. As Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Second, embrace discomfort as your training ground. The Stoics believed that voluntary hardship strengthens the soul. that by choosing difficult tasks when we don't have to, we build the muscle of discipline for when we must. Take cold showers, not because you enjoy them, but because they teach you that you can do hard things. Wake up early, not because it's convenient, but because it proves you can overcome the comfort of your bed. Exercise when you're tired, not because it feels good, but because it shows you that your actions don't depend on your feelings. As Seneca wrote, "Set aside a certain number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself the while, 'Is this the condition that I feared?'" Third, focus on process over outcome. Most people quit because they're obsessed with results and disappointed when progress seems slow. But discipline is about showing up regardless of immediate results, trusting that consistent action compounds over time. Don't measure your success by how you feel or by short-term outcomes. Measure it by whether you followed your system today. Did you do what you said you would do? Did you keep your commitment to yourself? Did you prove that you can be trusted to follow through? As Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, concentrate every minute like a Roman on doing what's in front of you with precise and genuine seriousness, tenderly, willingly, with justice, and to give yourself relief from all other distractions. Real-world examples show us how this principle transforms lives. The disciplined entrepreneur doesn't wait to feel motivated to work on their business. They have systems for daily actions that build their company regardless of market conditions or emotional states. They make calls, create content, and serve customers whether they feel like it or not, because they understand that businesses are built through consistent action, not motivated spurts. The disciplined athlete doesn't train only when they feel strong and energetic. They show up to practice when they're tired, sore, and would rather be anywhere else, because they know that champions are forged in the moments when quitting seems most appealing. The disciplined student doesn't study only when the material is interesting. They review their notes, complete assignments, and prepare for exams, whether the subject excites them or bores them, because they understand that mastery comes through consistent engagement, not sporadic enthusiasm. The bottom line is that motivation gets you started, but discipline gets you finished. Motivation is like a fair-weather friend, present when things are good but nowhere to be found when challenges arise. Discipline is like a loyal companion, standing by your side through every difficulty, every setback, every moment when you want to quit. As the saying goes, motivation is what gets you started, habit is what keeps you going. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop hoping to feel differently. Stop making excuses for why today isn't the right day to begin. Start building your discipline muscle right now with small daily actions that prove you can trust yourself to follow through. The power of micro-commitments, building discipline one small victory at a time. Here's what most people get wrong about building discipline. They try to change everything at once. They make massive commitments they can't keep. Then they use their failures as evidence that they lack willpower. But the Stoics understood that true strength is built gradually, through small, consistent actions that compound over time. As Lao Tzu said, "The journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step." But it's not just about taking the first step. It's about making that step so small and manageable that you can't help but succeed. Micro-commitments are tiny actions that are so easy you'd feel ridiculous not doing them. They're designed to be laughably small because the goal isn't to achieve massive results immediately. It's to build the neural pathways of consistency, to prove to yourself that you can make a commitment and keep it no matter how you feel. If you want to read more, commit to reading 1 page per day, not 30 minutes, not a chapter, just 1 page. If you want to meditate, commit to sitting quietly for 1 minute, not 20 minutes, not until you achieve enlightenment, just 60 seconds of stillness. If you want to exercise, commit to doing 1 push-up, not a full workout, not an hour at the gym, just 1 single push-up. This might seem absurd, but here's the psychology behind it. When you consistently keep small commitments, you build what researchers call self-efficacy, the belief that you can rely on yourself to do what you say you'll do. Each micro-commitment kept is a vote for the identity of someone who follows through, someone who can be trusted, someone who has discipline. As James Clear writes in Atomic Habits, every action you take is a vote for the type of person you wish to become. No single instance will transform your beliefs. But as the votes build, up so does the evidence of your new identity. But here's the secret that makes micro-commitments so powerful: they're designed to be expanded. Once doing one push-up becomes automatic, once you've proven to yourself that you can maintain this tiny habit for several weeks, you naturally want to do more. The resistance is gone, the neural pathway is established, and what once required discipline now feels like the natural thing to do. You'll find yourself reading more than one page, meditating longer than 1 minute, doing more than one push-up, not because you have to, but because you want to. The Stoic emperor Marcus Aurelius understood this principle deeply. In his meditations, he wrote reminders to himself about small daily practices, not grand gestures or massive transformations. He focused on how to think about the present moment, how to respond to difficult people, how to maintain perspective during challenges. These weren't earth-shattering insights. They were simple, practical reminders that he could apply immediately, micro-commitments to wisdom and virtue that he made to himself every day. Epictetus taught his students to focus on what is within their control, and micro-commitments are the perfect example of this principle in action. You can't control whether you'll feel motivated tomorrow. You can't control whether obstacles will arise. You can't control how quickly you'll see results. But you can control whether you read one page, whether you meditate for 1 minute, whether you do one push-up. These actions are so small and so completely within your control that external circumstances become irrelevant. Real-world application shows us how micro-commitments create lasting change. The person who wanted to become a writer started by committing to write 1 sentence per day, not because 1 sentence would make them a great writer, but because it would make them someone who writes every day. Within months, that 1 sentence naturally expanded to paragraphs, then pages, then chapters, and eventually a completed manuscript. The person who wanted to get in shape started with 1 minute of movement per day, not because 1 minute would transform their body, but because it would transform their identity from sedentary person to someone who exercises daily. Within a year, that 1 minute had become a comprehensive fitness routine and a completely transformed physique. The beauty of micro-commitments is that they make discipline feel effortless. When the bar is set impossibly low, consistency becomes inevitable. When consistency becomes inevitable, habits form naturally. When habits form naturally, identity shifts automatically. And when your identity shifts to someone who keeps commitments, discipline stops feeling like something you have to force and starts feeling like something you naturally are. As Aristotle observed, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit, and habits begin with the smallest possible actions repeated with absolute consistency. The Stoic framework for goal crushing, your blueprint for unstoppable progress. Now that we understand the power of discipline over motivation and the importance of micro-commitments, let's dive into the complete Stoic framework for achieving any goal you set your mind to. This isn't some modern productivity hack. This is a time-tested system used by emperors, philosophers, and warriors to accomplish extraordinary things under the most challenging circumstances. The framework consists of 3 pillars that the ancient Stoics called the disciplines: the discipline of perception, the discipline of action, and the discipline of will. The discipline of perception is about how you see your goals, your obstacles, and your progress. Most people fail not because they lack ability, but because they have distorted perceptions that sabotage their efforts. They see obstacles as problems instead of training opportunities. They see slow progress as failure instead of natural growth. They see setbacks as evidence they should quit instead of feedback they can use to adjust their approach. The Stoic trains their perception to see reality clearly, without the emotional distortions that lead to poor decisions. When you encounter an obstacle on the path to your goal, the discipline of perception asks, what is the opportunity hidden within this challenge? When Marcus Aurelius faced plagues, wars, and political upheaval during his reign, he didn't waste energy wishing things were different. He asked how these difficulties could strengthen his character and improve his leadership. When Seneca was exiled from Rome, he didn't view it as the end of his career, but as an opportunity to write some of his most profound philosophical works. When Epictetus was born into slavery, he didn't see it as a permanent limitation, but as a unique perspective on freedom and human dignity that would later inspire thousands of students. Apply this to your goals by reframing every setback as data, every obstacle as training, every moment of resistance as an opportunity to build discipline. If you're trying to lose weight and you have a bad eating day, the discipline of perception doesn't see this as failure. It sees it as valuable information about your triggers and an opportunity to practice self-compassion and course correction. If you're building a business and face rejection from potential customers, the discipline of perception doesn't see this as proof your idea is bad. It sees it as market research and an opportunity to refine your offering. The discipline of action focuses on what you actually do in pursuit of your goals. This is where most people struggle because they confuse activity with productivity, busyness with progress, good intentions with actual results. The Stoic understands that only your actions matter, not your plans, not your intentions, not your hopes, only what you actually do consistently over time. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "In the morning when thou risest unwillingly, let this thought be present. I am rising to the work of a human being. Why then am I dissatisfied if I am going to do the things for which I exist and for which I was brought into the world?" The discipline of action requires you to focus on the process rather than the outcome, on daily habits rather than distant results, on what you can control today rather than what you hope will happen eventually. This means breaking down every goal into daily actions that are specific, measurable, and completely within your control. Instead of the vague goal to get in shape, the discipline of action creates specific commitments like walk for 20 minutes after lunch, eat a vegetable with every meal, and go to bed by 10 p.m. Instead of the abstract goal to be successful, the discipline of action defines specific daily behaviors like make 5 sales calls, write for 30 minutes, and review financial metrics. But here's the crucial part. The discipline of action also means accepting that you cannot control outcomes, only inputs. You can control how many calls you make, but not how many people say yes. You can control how many times you exercise, but not how quickly you lose weight. You can control how much you practice, but not how quickly you improve. This paradox is at the heart of Stoic achievement. By focusing completely on what you can control and accepting what you cannot, you actually achieve better results with less stress and frustration. The discipline of will is about maintaining your commitment regardless of circumstances, emotions, or temporary setbacks. This is the ultimate test of character, the ability to keep going when everything inside you wants to quit, when progress seems impossible, when the goal feels too distant and the daily actions feel meaningless. The discipline of will doesn't depend on feeling strong or motivated or confident. It's the decision to act in alignment with your values and commitments regardless of how you feel in the moment. Seneca demonstrated the discipline of will when he continued to write and teach philosophy while facing political persecution and eventual forced suicide. He didn't stop pursuing wisdom because his circumstances were difficult. He used his difficulties as raw material for developing and sharing wisdom. Marcus Aurelius showed the discipline of will by maintaining his philosophical practices and moral principles while dealing with the immense pressures of ruling an empire, managing military campaigns, and facing personal tragedies including the death of multiple children. For you, the discipline of will means showing up to your daily actions, especially when you don't feel like it, especially when progress seems slow, especially when others around you are giving up on their goals. It means remembering that discipline is not about perfection, but about persistence, not about never falling, but about always getting back up, not about avoiding difficulties, but about growing stronger through them. As Epictetus taught his students, it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters, and the discipline of will is your reaction to every moment when commitment feels difficult. The practical application of this framework transforms how you approach any goal. Instead of hoping you'll feel motivated, you train your perception to see challenges as opportunities. Instead of relying on perfect conditions, you commit to consistent, daily actions regardless of circumstances. Instead of quitting when things get hard, you use difficulties as opportunities to strengthen your discipline of will. This is how ordinary people achieve extraordinary results, not through superhuman motivation, but through systematic discipline applied consistently over time. Remember, as Marcus Aurelius wrote, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. Therefore, guard accordingly and take care that you entertain no notions unsuitable to virtue and reasonable nature. Your goals are not achieved through perfect conditions or constant motivation. They're achieved through disciplined thinking, consistent action, and unwavering commitment to the process regardless of how you feel. This is the Stoic way. This is how you forge unbreakable discipline. This is how you crush any goal you set your mind to. All right, Stoic warriors, we've covered the complete blueprint for building discipline that crushes goals and transforms lives. From understanding why motivation fails you, to building micro-commitments that create lasting change, to implementing the complete Stoic framework for unstoppable progress. But remember, Stoicism isn't just about understanding these concepts. It's about forging them into your daily life through consistent practice. As Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. So what kind of discipline do you want to forge? What goals have you been putting off because you've been waiting for motivation to strike? What micro-commitment can you start today that will begin building the habit of keeping promises to yourself? Start small. Choose one tiny action that moves you toward your most important goal, and commit to doing it every day for the next week. Maybe it's writing one sentence if you want to be a writer. Maybe it's doing one push-up if you want to get in shape. Maybe it's reading one page if you want to expand your mind. Whatever it is, make it so small you can't fail and so consistent you can't quit. Remember, the Stoic path is not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about showing up every day, especially when you don't feel like it, especially when the goal seems distant, especially when others would give up. So go out there and start forging your discipline. Embrace the discomfort, trust the process, and never stop building the person you're becoming. And remember, you're not alone in this forge. We're all hammering out our discipline together. Now go forth and forge your destiny.